So this is Forex Strategy Builder, and what I want to do is just go through the interface here and briefly give you an overview of the software. And the main interface here, you're going to see different sections. And up here in the left-hand corner, your left-hand corner, is market statistics, and under here you'll see the instrument that I have loaded, which is Euro USD, the period, 1 hour, number of bars, which is 2425, date of updating, whatever. A bunch of information here, don't need to go into it all, but very detailed information. Cut off bad data, accomplished, fill in the gaps, switched off, no. So some of these you'll see as other menu items up under market statistics, where you'll go down and you'll see these here that you can check, and they'll show up as accomplished over here. Okay, then you have your indicator chart. If I had a strategy loaded in here, I could knock on that there and load this up and even blow it up full size, and your indicators would be down here. Okay, and your basic chart would be down here. Over here is your equity bar. You can hit on it and that would also blow it up, but here you would see your balance at the bottom and your floating profit and loss based on a strategy that you developed. Down in the bottom is journals, and it's journal by position without transfers is what the default seems to be down here. When you click on that, you see, and there's no bars down here really right now to see in this, but you would see a bar, and this is how it's mapped out, how price goes through this particular bar if it was there. Now, it uses the interpolation method of pessimistic for basically your processing of the bars. What that means, if it gets one of these ambiguous bars up here, here it says we have 24, 23. That's simply because we haven't run anything here on the generator to get things moving. But basically, it'll go through and get rid of most of those bars, and we may have a few left. But if we have a few left, then it uses a pessimistic mode to go through those, or method to go through those bars and figure the most pessimistic route through them, so that you always sort of underestimate what is happening with your equity and balance and everything like that that's built into the strategy that you're doing. Down in the bottom here again, we have this view, but if you go up under view, you have journal by positions, and then you have journal by bars. And here's the bars. These are all pink because they're all right now listed as ambiguous. But when we build a strategy, that won't be true anymore. The strategy will test it out through these bars, and each of these bars will be tested, and most will be found not to be ambiguous. If there are any ambiguous bars, then they will get this general pessimistic interpolation method. Now, there are other interpolation methods that can be used, but generally it's best just to keep it on the pessimistic. The shortest, the nearest, the optimistic, the random. Generally, pessimistic is what you want. You want to know that you're getting the worst possible scenario, and then you know it's going to be just much better than that possibly. So that's generally the way I think about it. Anyway, that's the main interface. The center here is where we build our strategy, and we'll do a brief strategy in a few minutes. I want to show you just the different menu items. Basic file menu, but if you have a strategy already built, you go under open, and of course you just open the strategy and it loads it in. And what that's good for is once you built your strategy, it's not necessarily going to look the same when you get back in here, depending on what your data is loaded in here as. But what it is you can, what I've done is save some as templates so that I can go and use them over again in the generator and sort of build on them, since they worked pretty good the first time, and see if I can improve. And they generally will straighten out pretty quickly and improve quite quickly over the ones that are just not too good. The edit menu Copy strategy, paste strategy. Yeah, you could copy up the strategy from a web page. You can paste the strategy in here. You can name it. Somebody posted over on the site, the Strategy Trader and Strategy Builder site, and I'll give you that URL here in the start of the this thread. You have to bear with me. I didn't make a script for this first introduction. I just want to get up and get started. I will probably have to do scripts for the more difficult things, and when I get into trying to explain some things that I'm trying to do with this program. The account information, I have it in currency. It could be in pips. Account settings, you go under account settings. I just have it set for $100. I'm using 1 to 50. $100 because I'm using nano lots, which are penny lots, and which is great to use when you're trading with a bot or with anything like this. If you go under strategy properties, if you come up under here, you're going to see how I got it set up for penny lots, a total of 10. You can set it up in here, and actually it says here trade this percent of your account, and I just should go up here and do this. Always need to check this when you build a strategy to get it what you want it to be first, right off the dot, and then you don't have to have regrets later that you didn't build it with those types of defaults. If you look at the interface some more, we go up under here, there's market. There is a data horizon. I just want to show you this. Right now I have it set for 5,000 bars. They say the minimum amount of bars is 300. I like to do a little bit more. 1,000, this computer will run really pretty fast. It's an i5, and it's on my laptop. On my desktop computer, which is 8-core computer I built myself. I've been building for like 30 years. It has enormous power, and I can run this just about anything, and it'll zip through the data. Down here you have remove data older than this date. The way to think about this really though is like everything from this date on is what you're going to have in view, and you want the first 5,000 bars of it. That's the way I look at it. It's just a little easier than the way they have it worded there. You could remove data newer than this, so you could get a segment like an in-between segment between the end and the beginning of the data you have available. So there's a lot of different combinations you could do, and it says the minimum number of bars is 300. I use what you can above that your computer will process fast, and where you're going to see those calculations being done is in the generator, which we'll get to in a little bit here. So under market, we have the data horizon, data directory, just shows you where the data is stored. Edit instruments is sort of an area where you can edit the instruments if you want to. It just looks like this, and if you need to do something like this, you'll probably know it, and this is where you do it. Maybe when you add data, bring in data, your own data, this is an area we'll have to get into. I haven't done this for a while. It's been a year since I originally used this and brought in data myself. I'm just using the data that comes with the program, which is plenty to get you started. So under market, we also have in these check the data boxes, cut off the Saturday, Sunday data, cut off bad data. I've just left them checked. They seem to be the defaults. You also have import. You can import your MetaTrader HST files, and JForex files, ONDA files, and TrueFX files. And he has these import scripts to do that for you. I'm referring to Mr. Popoff, who developed this software from about 2005 and copyrights it, but it's all open source now. It's free to download, and he has a nice site where you can look at the documentation wiki and get an understanding of how everything's supposed to work. The documentation wiki is a work in progress, so not everything is in there. There's always being changes to the program. He's always investing more in the program as far as what it can do. So these things don't all get documented right away. There's also an active forum, and there's plenty of help within the forum, and there's some sharp guys there that are used to using the software. I didn't see any videos. I looked back in time. Mr. Pop-Up done some videos, but they weren't voice annotated, and they were just to show some things, very brief things about the software. So maybe this is going to be the first sort of extended introduction to the software done on video. If so, I hope to do a little bit more in-depth view a little bit later on. The market data, that's pretty much what I want to say about it. Strategy, you can do an overview, and this is the heart of what your strategy will be. When you build a strategy, it will be in this strategy overview. There's a description. That doesn't mean a whole lot. This is an empty strategy. This doesn't drive anything. This won't drive the trader application that we'll talk about. But if you go down under logic, this is where the heart of meat of your strategy will start. You'll have your entry signaled. You'll have any logic that goes under it. You know, a bunch of stuff we can look at in a few seconds, but basically this is what will actually drive the trader. It's all in XML like this, and once you develop strategy, it'll all be just readable. You'll be able to see what it is, so that later on, if we want to develop, let's say, a EA from this, then we have a written down, very precise strategy that we can look at, and once we fully understand how to transfer that back and forth between MQL, that should be a pretty nice way to get up to speed rather rapidly on a new EA. If we get a strategy that's working pretty good in the trader. Okay, here you can see that I have $100 USD, and it gives you some more info. This just gives you the environment. This down here does not drive the strategy trader so much. This is just additional information, very detailed. Have a lot more meaning once you actually have a strategy in here. Okay, over here you have your account statistics and the ambiguous bars, but there's lots of details here. Right now nothing's changed because I haven't built any kind of indicator here, or not indicator, rather strategy, so everything's basically at the defaults, and everything will fill in here as you build a strategy. Down under the statistics, balanced equity chart, of course you want to try to get a straight diagonal-like line here of equity. Getting it up this way or getting it down this way is not so good. What you can also see, and which I turn on, is the extra analysis up here. And well, actually you don't see it on this, you'll see it in the generator. But it gives you also the buys and the shorts, so you can see how many there actually are when you do your analysis and build your strategy. So up under strategy, you have an overview, which we just talked about, and then a recalc. It just recalcs the data, quick scan, stuff we can go into in the wiki. Can't quite remember what the quick scan is. I will go into this stuff more in detail, but I just want to get you into the interface a little bit. Export, there's all kinds of exports you can do, but they're really not important right now. But to know that they're available, that's pretty cool, really. Testing. I keep this automatic scan on, trade until a margin call on, additional statistics. These are all defaults. Analysis, there is an over-optimization report. You're not going to get anything right now because there's no strategy, but you can actually get an Excel breakdown of what the what looks like will happen when you actually run the program, what problems might occur, how accurate the program is, or the strategy is to what it might actually be in real life when you trade it. Under the testing, I think I showed you all these. And now under tools, you have the comparator, and that will compare different, if you want, interpolation methods to ambiguous bars. And really, I don't use it much. I don't really have that many ambiguous bars. These other tools we can talk about later. There is a way to get custom indicators in here, and there's several been developed. Some basic things, pivot points, profit calculators, and truthfully I haven't got into these, so I'm not exactly sure how they work. I'm more interested in the generator and generating the software strategies. Check for update. It starts under help. Okay, when you go into one-line help, this takes you to the site. So this will bring up the site, which is forexsb.com wiki. And this is the manual. It has a download page for Forex software, documentation, and the forum. I'm logged in here. You can see my name is slow key, whatever. And bunch of subjects. It goes into like the interpolation method here and explains what that is. Pessimistic sure is nearest opposite random. Following a fixed route, Forex goes around each bar in order to execute or cancel all orders sent by the strategy. This route is determined by the 4 base points. Okay. In most cases, this information is sufficient for correct calculation of an instructive test. If the strategy sends closed orders, however, they are within the limits of the current bar. It is always possible to determine. It is not always possible to determine sure what the order of the order execution is. Those bars we cannot tell for sure what the order of order execution are called ambiguous bars. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about ambiguous bars. So this all you can read. A lot of nice help here. Concepts which are good. Use previous bar value concept. Read this. This is important to know and know why it's being used. Very nice help. All there for you to look at. So that's the help page. And then the forums are over here. They go back quite a bit in time, and just quite a few subjects, and announcements and whatever, normal things you see in the Forex forums. And the software is here for your download. This is the fellow that developed the software, and our products are free for use and distribution. There are no secrets and pitfalls because our products are open source. Please send us your opinion and recommendations. We wish you a steady profit and fun. Nice guy. Been developing the software since 2005. Went open source with it about a year ago. Talks about the Forex strategy builder here. And this is the trader. We're not going to talk too much about it today, but this is how you'll trade your strategies. And then he goes into detail about the strategy generator, which is the main part of the program. I'll put this aside for now and get back to the program. Okay, that's basically the interface. Looked at the help. This is just a commercial here. He does put a couple things in here to sort of send you to some brokers I guess he likes or whatever, but we can't use it in the US. Maybe somewhere else you can. I'm not going to pitch those. Not criminals anyway. This is the basic interface then. Now, let's say I want to develop a manual strategy. Let's say, first of all, I come up under here. I want to do permanent stop loss. Okay, that 1,000 is actually 100. I'm not sure. I forget exactly why that is, but it's probably the same thing that we run into with going to different decimal points and whatever. But that's actually 100. So that would be 100. You can go above that if you want, but so that'd be 100 pips. You can adjust it right in here. You can adjust your break evens and everything right here. You can come over here. For some reason, it keeps defaulting into the percent, but you can trade a constant number of lots, which we're going to do. and then you can put what you want in here. We'll just leave that at 100 and accept that. So that puts it up here. We got 100 perm to take profit as such. So you just click on that and it comes up. Now the bar opening is the current enter the market, let's say, point of position. So you got an opening point of position and you have a closing point of position. So if you go under here, what will be available is everything that can be used as a opening point of position. You won't see anything here that can't be used. So you might want to use the previous high-low. And notice as I'm clicking on here, it shows some things happening. You get immediate calculation on the equity chart. Now, there really is nothing in here to start with much, but you're already, as you click on different, over here you get, it doesn't go into, down the drain till over here. So, the Keltner channel, let's leave it there for whatever. We're going to put in as an opening just to start with. So we got a start on our equity chart. So that's all you can do. You can do one enter long at upper band, whatever. We can do one opening point of the position. Add an opening logic position. Okay, so let's see, what do I want to do? I want to add to that money flow index. Accept. Just going to accept the defaults there. And bar closing, I'm just going to leave it that for right now. Now, what will happen is some of the things at the closing point of the position will not allow you to add closing logic. So if you have a weak closing, that will still allow you to do it. But if you allow, I believe it's stop loss. It goes. If you add a stop loss, see it, you can't add it. And you can use closing logic conditions only if the closing point at the position slot contains one of the following indicators: bar closing, day closing, week closing. So it tells you what it is. So I'm not going to use a stop loss there. I'm just going to go up and use a count percent loss is what I'm going to do. Add closing logic. So still don't have a very good equity chart, but if we knew what we wanted to do, let's say this is what we wanted to do, we could still then save this as a strategy under save as, give it a name. We're under Euro USD 1 hour, so I would name it like Euro USD 1 hour and maybe give it like money flow strategy, index, Keltner channel, whatever. Give it some name as meaning to it, and then take it over to the trader and run it. See if in real world whether it runs. You don't have to have good form. I mean, if it's something you want to do, you want to see how it works, you want to tell Steve, look, this is something I like, this is cool. If you can develop it in this environment, test it, in the trader. And if it works, then you're good. On the other hand, what you can do is open up the generator. Now, everything goes away when you open up the generator. Okay. Now, in the generator, you see the first page over here is common. Okay. Basically, you have your conditions that we've just set over here. You have these limitations, settings, top 10 indicators here. So common is these basic settings you have over here, and I have them set pretty tight. So maximum number of opening slots, logic slots I have is 2. So it can only add one more logic slot here. Nothing you set over here will affect the opening point of position or closing point of position as far as eliminating them. You have to have these two. You can eliminate logic, but you cannot eliminate these two. You got to have an opening point, you have to have a closing point. And you actually have to have an opening point, you have to have some logic under the opening. You can have a closing point like we discussed and not have any logic under it. Then going over here, you see how I have these set. I have a set that I can only add one more logic, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain in a minute. Under limitations, I have a pretty... I advise you not to make it real tight to start with. This is good to have checked. You want to have a maximum number of ambiguous bars of 10. It really shouldn't be any more than that once we get done here. The maximum equity drawdown, I'd leave this around 20%, but that's pretty liberal, really. Filter out bad OS period. This is out of sample period, so all this is out of sample over here, and I'll explain in a little bit what that means. You can look at these, but I mean, if you wanted to hit a maximum, or rather a minimum win-loss ratio, this would filter out all those things. But every time you put a filter or a constraint or a limitation, you limit what's going to happen, what you're going to see. And I want to see a little bit more usually. And if I need to limit, then I can sort of eliminate. I've found that I can sort of eliminate it myself just with practice. I want to see what it's able to do, because I'm going to basically do this in a very systematic way. I'm going to open up one logic channel here. Settings. I've been leaving this open. Only use default numeric indicator values. That means it can use anything here. It's very interesting. You get some very interesting results. If that bothers you, you can tighten that up by only using default indicated values. But you're going to be limited. You're going to limit again the value of really sort of using a tool that can sort of do some sort of bizarre things, but actually can work for you a little bit. So that's my take on it. I've been leaving it unchecked, but you may, for personal say strategy, you bring in here and you just want to sort of tweak a little bit. You may want to, that's using all standard defaults, you may want to make sure you have this locked so that you don't start mixing or messing with your standard defaults. So and then under settings, that's that. And under top 10, what will happen is we generate new strategy. If you choose to generate new strategies, what will happen? They'll be saved here as they improve or as they get worse, whatever, they'll be there. So you can stop it and you can go back and hit a form of strategy. You see something go by and say, "Whoa, I don't want to, I don't want to go by that. I want to get back and see what that was." You can get to that. Indicators. That's very interesting. You can see that I have the day opening. I don't want that for my strategy right now. I might want for some other strategies, but right now I don't want it. So I have it banned. So you can ban opening points of positions. You can ban logic conditions. You just go down there and pick out the ones you don't want. You can ban closing, and they will not be used. None of these will be used to make your strategy. They'll just be, they'll go by them. So let's get back under common here, and this is your calculation window. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to, if I lock down this nothing's going to change in the ones that are locked. It's only going to bring in this one slot here. See how it's set for 2? And it's going to start looking at how it can improve what I have locked down here by putting more logic in this slot. So it may cycle through several different indicators here, just adding logic. So what you're doing really is letting the computer do thousands of calculations to see if it can improve this equity curve here. And I usually go about 10,000 before I get sort of bored with it, and I've let it run longer than that, but at a certain point it really doesn't improve any longer. It's run through just about every calculation you can for just allowing one equity. Okay, let me show you another technique while we're here. Another thing you can do is you have these links. Now that I've added a logic, one logic slot to this, and I have that locked down, I haven't added any more, so I can't, nothing else is going to pop in there. The only thing I got now is what I got there. So this is a link. What this does is allow everything that's here to work together to improve themselves based on each other's, their settings. Their settings. So what's going to happen? when I do it this time, it's going to improve that. It's going to look at all the settings there and see if it can improve, get a better result. And it may be the best result you have. Now, this is going to be more of an art than it is going to be like 1, 2, 3, we're going to have a perfect thing. As you learn the program, you're going to learn some secrets. You're going to learn some things you want to do a little differently. This is the systematic way I've started to go about using this program, and I've found it to work. So I just paused the recording, and we're up now to about 4,000, and nothing's really changing a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is stop it right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow it to have another opening slot. I'm going to increase that to 3. And I think I'll lock down everything. I mean, part of learning the best practice for using this, and maybe there won't be an exact best practice, but we'll be determining how you progress out to build the best possible equity curve and best possible strategy. But right now, I'll lock down everything and see if it'll add another opening logic slot. And it goes about and ends day of the week. It puts that in there. And we get a better equity curve, but as you can see, this red is our shorts, and they're not winning at a very high rate. I'm not too happy about that, but the equity curve's not too bad. It's pretty straight. Now I want to talk about, this is cycling a little bit, I want to talk about the equity curve. When you get over here, this part you want straight, and when you get over here, you'd like it to be straight too. This isn't getting processed. What this tells you is that this out of sample data over here, that if you use your strategy, it seems to work pretty good. That we're not overfitting. If we were overfitting, this would fall apart over here. This would look awful. And I've seen it happen a million times, but for all practical purposes, it's looking pretty good. You know, it's still holding up through. This is 30% of the data over here. It's not being processed, not being, you know. Now this isn't an optimizer. What it's doing is running different, you know, settings against this strategy, but it can still get some overfitting. There's still a chance of overfitting. So this is one of the precautions that's used to keep overfitting from occurring. But when you see that happen, you know that that's not going to be good. If you see that this is all screwed up over here and this is not stretching out fairly decently over here. So I'm just going to stop it there. What I ended up with was the Gator oscillator. So again, I could go up here and then link them all and see how they work together. I guess to see if this changes the strategy process. See what happens when I generate a new set of settings for this. Let's see if working together, changing each other's settings. If that happens, then they may not change each other's settings. So some of the settings have been changed a little bit. We're getting a little better, at least at the end point here, a little better shorts, more success with our shorts. Our equity curve did improve though. Looks like we're fitting a little bit, so it looks like one of the risks of linking these all together like this will be overfitting, and it's very, very suggestive of what I've read about overfitting. Is that when you try to link a lot of things and settings together, you're going to get that overfitting. So this looks like we've not got too good of a pattern here by doing that, and really sort of starting to fall apart a little bit here with that. So what I've started to do is just sort of link a couple things together, and what I've read is that when you optimize, and this is sort of it's not a true optimization, but this sort of is an optimizer. It's better just to do a couple with each other, and then you know, perhaps undo them. The other thing you could do is you could lock down everything, but unlock strategy properties and see if there's any thing that you can do with this as you unlock some of these and link them to that. So it's just a matter of playing here. This is what I want to try to do, and what we can do as a thread is in this group is try to determine what is the best practice for this program. How is best to approach this building of strategies so that we don't overfit, so that we get good equity curves, and that they transfer well into doing strategies that will trade well in the trader, and then possibly become EAs eventually. So that's all I really want to show you in here. That's as far as I want to go. I've done this without a script today, and you know, next time I think if I have some more to say, we'll go in depth with this. I'll have a script, and I'll just sort of be able to go very precisely through what I want to say. But I want to get started today with this and show you the program. And what I'm going to do is set this right here, not because it's good, but because it's gives us the data filled in. So as you can see, there are no ambiguous bars now up here. Profit per day was 184. Account balance is 339. If you go down here and see what our winning ratio is, it's 8-0. It says it's 8-0, no losses. Sounds pretty good, but I've seen much better. It's not. This is not going to trade a lot. This is on the hour, and I believe I have 1,000 bars in here or something. So it'd be worth, out of curiosity, running it into Trader to see what it does, putting on a demo. But that's how quickly you could do something. This can be now saved and put on the Trader, and I can have this running in about 5 minutes. So I hope I haven't stuttered too much through this video. This is the first time I've done one, and it's about 37 minutes long here. So I will better quit here, and I'll see how I can put this together to get it online, whether I put it on YouTube or whether we just put it, shrink it and put it in some way that we can get it up to you all guys on the site.